Hey everybody, thanks for coming back here to the Jig Is Up. We're going to go ahead and tie us a 1/8 ounce painted up jig head here, Marabou jig. That's what we're going to do. And what I've done to put a base down here is I've tied up, I just filled it in, didn't get too overly abundantly crazy with a lot of wraps, but you at least want to get a base. So that way when your feathers transition onto the hook and to the shank of the head here, you can go ahead and get a good tight wrap with it, and it will stay longer, it'll last longer, and it will look better in the water also. So go ahead and we're going to get started here. We're going to do a white marabou tail, and we're going to go ahead and make this a more of a minnow slash larger minnow look because it's 1/8 ounce head, and that will have a little size to it, a little bit of weight, and that will help you out if you're using heavier stuff. You're using maybe 10 or 12 pound test, you're going to have to use a little bit more weight. But I usually use I have a micro pole and reel that I use when I go crappie, white bass, and things of that nature when I fish. Unless I go for bigger stuff, then I make sure I grab my bigger poles. And you want to cut off that excess there, get your wraps going. Sometimes what I'll do here is I'll go ahead and throw in some flash. I'll throw some flash in along here, along the tail, on both sides, so that way when you're casting in and out, it's going to either not bother, and it will get you the effect you want from either side if you have a fish by you that wants to come up there and see what's going on and hopefully take after your lure and inevitably get hooked up and you can reel him in. I got lots of options here for the body as far as chenille goes, but right now I'm using this Polar Flash tinsel. And before I go any further, people always want to know what I'm using here also. What I have is a bobbin to hold my thread, and this just isn't regular thread that you get at the Walmart or the Target or whatever, or a fabric store. I get this from a bass shop there in Wichita, and it's called Ultra Thread 210 black denier, and it's a lot stronger than your normal fabric thread. Because when I first started tying these, I was using a lot of that fabric thread, things like this, and what would happen is that it would start to break on me, and then I'd be halfway tied up on my lure, and before you knew it, it would I'd have to be retying and retying and retying. I'd have a lump of thread on there the size of your thumb trying to get things to get hooked back up. But before I go any further here, I'm going to go ahead and take this Polar Flash chenille, and I do love this stuff. I love it. I have not used this yet, but just from the looks of it, it is going to be, should be good. Because it gives you that whole, see the way it flashes and stuff like that, it gives you the whole look of a scale on a bait fish. And you want to give it, you want to wrap it up, and as you're going up, you want to make sure you get up there next to the this is a ball head 1/8 ounce jig head. Once you get up there to the ball head jig, you always want to go one more wrap. Don't go two more wrap, just go one more to really fill it in good. And get that, wrap it around there. I start off by starting the finishing wrap here. I do it 3 to 4 times to cinch it in. See, if I would have had the regular thread that you would have got at like a fabric store, as hard as I just pulled, it would have broke. And once you get this far into your lure, that's when you're going to run into problems, and that's when it ain't going to be too good. So this is where it gets tricky. But instead of using this device here to roll around and get all that stuff going for you and tie it down, I just take these 2 fingers just like this, and then I do this right here just like this, 2, 4, then I put it up over the head, then I go ahead and cinch it down, pull it, 1, 2, 3, 4, go back over the head and pull it. Pull up on the bobbin there a little bit. I use all different types of cutters for this. As you can see, that was just thread, and it's a little hard to get through there. I use a pair of these micro dikes to cut stuff. I got a pair of these fist guards that I use for especially the bucktails, because the bucktails, that fur, it had to tear up these little micro scissors pretty quick. You want to get into fine places and stuff like that, these are the trick. But other than that, back to the lure. Once I'm done here, I always put 2 drops of super glue right there by where you just knotted it. And that, my friends, should take care of business here for you. You know what, guys? If you want to get notified, you want to go ahead and join me whenever I do make more lures or whatever, show you all the content that I have going on, go ahead and like and add me, and we will get you guys informed of everything we can do. So, once again, guys, I appreciate you coming out to the Jig Is Up, and we'll see you again. Good night. Bye.